Hi everyone. Hopefully you were able to see part one of our episode on stress and balance featuring our guest, Mr. Nik Wallenda. Well, now hang on. We're going to go into part two where Nik and I both go into different things we do to manage stress, to find balance in our life. Nik shares some deep personal insights of things he's gone through in life and the journey he's been on and how he comes through it intact and whole using different techniques for balance and stress management. So please enjoy this episode on unprocessed sugar. Rhythm and predictability, things like bedtime, wake-up time, kind of consistent times, just walking at a nice steady pace, just basically slowing everything down, right? Babies are rocked, calms them down.
There's something powerful about being still.
Right, absolutely. Absolutely.
Just being still.
Massively powerful, right?
Yeah.
Big part of how meditation works.
I try to spend 10 minutes a day
right.
doing nothing.
Doing nothing.
And as I think as Americans in society, we're going, like you said, 1,000,000 miles an hour. And it's hard to just slow down. But if you could, there's so much benefit. And it's really difficult for someone like me who has ADHD and I'm always going a million different directions.
You have a million pots boiling too.
Force myself to go, no, I'm going to sit here and I'm just going to close my eyes and I'm going to breathe.
Right.
And I'm just going to try to think about nothing.
Right?
Yeah, nothing. Or think about focus on things like the waves at the beach or something like that. That'll just. Right. There's so much power in that meditation.
There really is, and meditation is an offshoot of being still, and it's something that I do, but not often as I like to, as frequently as I like to, but it is insanely powerful. It really is. So I'm glad you brought that up. And then the meditation, I remember when I first started learning how to meditate, a friend of mine is a psychologist in town, and she has a whole neurofeedback system. And they clip these electrodes to you, or sensors to you, and then you watch these things on the screen. And I remember them saying, okay, you'll be here for 30 minutes, it's dark, and think about nothing. What? That's not going to happen. I did it for like 3 months, I think.
Yep.
Three times a week. And by the end, she put me in there, turn it off, and boom, I was in alpha theta almost immediately, which is the brainwave state you want to be in.
It's all about training and preparation.
Correct.
Repetitiveness. Over and over and over again.
Absolutely. And I was able to do it, but it takes, again, the repetitiveness.
That's right. And being committed. Right. And realizing, again, that prize, I'm very much that way. I want it to happen now.
Right.
I want everything to happen now.
Right.
I don't want to have to wait 3 months. I know early on in my career, and just as an adult,
right.
I would always make fun of people that were all about positive music and positive people,
right.
and everything that you do, think positive. And,
right.
and I was like, that's so cliche. That's crazy. What do you mean? And then as I got older, I started practicing it.
Right.
And in the beginning, I was like, I still thought it was goofy. But I'm like, I'm going to try this. I'm going to consistently do this. And man, it changed my life.
Really?
After months of doing that, now it's just natural. And my life completely shifted. The way my mind works, the way I can come to peace during stressful situations.
Do you have a particular technique of meditation or anything, pointers you can give us?
I pray a lot.
Right.
That's a big form of meditation. I think a lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah.
But it's just getting in a position where I can completely, again, focus on nothing. It's so hard for all of us. As you said, with our phones, social media, we go lay down in bed and we look on our phone for the next hour and a half. That's the worst thing we can do. It's stimulating us. We're reading things. The news, as you mentioned, these cycles will come up. We get fed these algorithms over and over again of what's going to happen, or again, these news algorithms, whatever you're going to look at, you're going to see more and more. And again, it just adds more and more stress to us. So how do you expect to get a good night's sleep if you lead into it with that? So I think it's important that we put our phones to the side and we lay down and we focus on good, positive things. I try to focus on my family and the things that have happened throughout the day that have been positive, and focus on those things as I sort of wind down. And I, you'll find that quickly you'll get a much better night's sleep by doing that. And schedules, okay, I'm not going to go on my phone after 9 p.m. or whatever time that is, and sticking to it. And that's again difficult because that's our lives nowadays, business and emails. And, I'm in the entertainment world, so I get emails from LA at midnight or 1 a.m. So it's important. I caught myself in the past getting on my phone at 3 a.m. just to see, is there an email that came through, rather than, leave that to the side.
I'm chuckling because I've done the same thing.
And not to mention the rays that these phones send out that are horrible for us as well.
Right.
So I think that it's smart to have a spot that you put your phone across the house somewhere else.
That would be
let
ideal.
Let it charge there.
Right.
And then come back to it in the morning.
My fallback excuse, but I need my alarm for it.
Yeah. Well,
so
there's plenty of alarms out there.
There are. But what I do is I try to keep it about 3 or 4 feet away because of the EMF.
Out of the reach.
And they just don't get on it. I mean, I used to go to bed with my iPad and be on that. That's like crazy.
Yeah, it's the worst thing you can do.
It really is. So try to wrap up whatever you need to do before heading to the bedroom and consistency.
I'm not saying it's easy, and I'm not saying I'm great at it.
Right.
But it is something that I'm working towards again.
Good,
and I think just like everything, we have to work towards small steps, baby steps.
Yep.
Maybe it starts at midnight and then backs down to 11:30 and then 11. But
good point.
Those things are so important.
I love the baby steps. We've mentioned that quite often.
Well, look at the way we raise our children. They have a nap time at a certain time every day. They go to bed at a certain. There's a reason for that.
Exactly.
And it's healthy for all of us, not just babies. So why do we give that up as we get older?
Right.
We really should stick to those things.
And it's without a doubt an American cultural thing. I mean,
for sure.
Spain has their siestas.
Yeah, I was gonna say in Europe, all the time. There's a certain during lunch. There's a lunch hour. I think 2 hours, and
right.
a lot of
2 hours. Yeah,
where that's an hour to sleep.
Yeah,
and then
awesome. And just be still.
Yeah,
I think Japan's kind of like us a little bit in that just the go kind of thing. But these are all great points. The consistency, the diligence, and patience. Just it's going to happen. Just keep being diligent, and I find that. I hate to have to say schedule these things, but I have to kind of schedule it. I say, okay, 12 o'clock, no matter what's going on, 20, 30 minutes, just meditate, let's do some breath work, maybe my vagus nerve stimulator I'll use. Because if I don't do that, I'll just try to fit it in wherever I can.
Yep.
It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen.
Discipline.
Right.
Discipline.
Right. Really is.
But it's just, again, like anything, whether you're in college, it's discipline to spend the time studying and not being out partying, or whether, I have to be disciplined in my training and my practice regimens because of what I do. And in the end, it is life or death. With me, it's life or death, but everything is life or death. And, we can add longevity to our lives by by being disciplined.
Right.
Or we can live a stressful life and go a million miles an hour and
then die one day.
And often, die sooner than we should.
Right. Absolutely. Something called sensory regulation. That's not how they're wording this. How they word it. But what that is tactile, meaning touching things. So, for example, sunlight. Try to get sunlight early in the morning, bare feet on the grass, something called earthing or grounding. And I sleep on a grounding pillowcase. I have a grounding mat on my desk. And what grounding is, we all have an electrical charge. The earth has an electrical charge. And when you walk bare feet, our electrical charge gets balanced out by the earth. And it has massively beneficial benefits. So, you can get some shoes that have like a copper nail through. That doesn't work that great. But grounding or earthing, a warm shower at night. I never really thought about this. I might start doing that. Because again, it just takes that dimmer switch and lowers it down. Then there's some techniques called, somatic stretching. And what that is you can start top to bottom, bottom to top. But for example, my traps, you fire them, hold it for just a couple of seconds, and then the key is the release slow over a few seconds. And you can do that 3 times, then your deltoids and your pecs. Just kind of work your way through your body, and that absolutely changes your neurological firing.
Yeah, it's
100%.
amazing how that physical adjustment changes your mental.
Right. It's something that I never really had an appreciation for, and it absolutely works. When I'm laying down to go to bed, 5 minutes later, I'm like, oh, I'm all chilled out right now. Blue light, try to eliminate it. We talked about that with the screens. Something called havening. Now, havening, it may sound a little woo-woo, but it, again, works. It's a touching thing. So you touch yourself. This is just one way to do it. You just do this, 45 seconds or a minute. And there's other offshoots.
It's funny, my wife, every evening I have to tickle her hand, and she falls asleep like that.
There you go.
So it's a form of havening.
Exactly.
I didn't know what it was called,
exactly right.
But I mean, it puts her to sleep like that.
That's awesome. For Stephanie, my wife, it's her feet. She gets a foot rub every night.
Yeah.
I try to.
Yeah.
But what happens is, again, this isn't just woo-woo folk remedy stuff. it has a calming effect on your sensory pathways, in particular, the C-tactile afferent neurons. That sounds all scientific, which it is, but those tell your brain, chill out. And it will significantly help kind of just slow things down. Again, I keep going back to that dimmer switch. Sleep. We briefly mentioned sleep. Sleep is a stress medicine. And again, we'll go through a lot of that tomorrow. But if you're not sleeping, you're not recovering. That's when our bodies heal. Not just your muscle, but your brain cells. That's when they heal. So you've got to get enough sleep. Excuse me. And again, we're going to talk about that in our next episode. So next is movement. We kind of briefly hit on that. Just do something. And I love what you said, baby steps. Yeah. It doesn't have to be some big, huge protocol or thing. Just do something. Just move. Just walk. Just walk around. Walk around your house. And again, start slow and build your way up. Resistance training we talked about. This is a new one I've learned. Short, quote, stress dump sessions. 5 minutes, do some body weight squats, do some body weight lunges, throw in a little breath work with it, some push-ups. But that gets all that stress that's accumulating and gets it to discharge. It does. Just at the middle of the day, just drop down and give me 50. Yeah. I don't think I could. Could you do that challenge that Bobby Kennedy Jr. is doing with Hegseth? 50 pull-ups and 100 push-ups. And Bobby Kennedy's doing it in like 5 minutes something.
Really?
He's 70 years old, right? I have a patient who's become a good friend, Deco, and we call him, and he did it in 3 minutes something. Really? Yeah. Crazy. He's a police officer now. He played in the NFL, so he's in great shape. But wow. Right? Wow. I think that's about the best word I could come up with. So those are some of the things you can do to kind of get your things to the dimmer switch. I keep coming back to that dimmer switch. So, but that's all fine and dandy, but let's hear about how we can do some of these things and how they play into your life, Nick. So again, for those who don't know him, Nik Wallenda, seventh generation circus performer. I don't know, that's almost a disservice to call it that. It's not more than that.
I mean, that's my family history back in the 1780s.
Right?
Yeah, almost awesome? 250 years now.
Yeah. Gosh, that's nuts. That is nuts. That in a good way, right? But Nik, again, Sarasota hometown hero. Everybody knows Nik. Everybody loves Nik. They just had the run, their third season now with Winterland.
Yes. Yeah, Wonderland, yep.
Nik's circus run, about 6 weeks long, I think it was, and had their best year ever. Next year, you gotta go. Absolutely gorgeous. They stepped it up a notch, not one notch, like 10 notches. The quality of the facility, the acts were incredible, but really, really a great time and something good for the whole family to go to. And congratulations on the success of that. Yeah, I know that's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
It is. Moving parts. Talk about stress, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But it's so fulfilling. You know, what I've learned is, and we can do this in any occupation, but here I am, a circus performer, if you will, and I can now use what I do to motivate and inspire and encourage others. And we've produced, my wife, who writes the show, choreographs the show.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah.
Rendita is Nick's wife. He's speaking of, who is an absolute angel.
She is.
Nick and I are definitely married up.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
For sure. But she writes a show that is inspirational and motivational. So it's not just that you're going to see a circus, but you know, our prayer before every show is that you'll come to be impressed but leave inspired.
I like that.
And that's really what it's about for us. It's leaving a lasting impression on everybody that comes to that show.
That is awesome.
And I know I struggled with that. What's my purpose? I think we all struggle with that at a young age. But what's my purpose? And to be honest, it was a stressor in my life through my teen years.
Right.
What's my purpose? What's my purpose? And I think
in your teen years. I'm sorry to interrupt. In your teen years already. Yeah.
And then realizing that, well, my purpose is to use the gifts and talents that I have to inspire others, that no matter what challenge they're facing, no matter how strong the winds of their Grand Canyon are, they can get to the other side. And that's what we've done with Wonderland, is we've created a show that is a circus with a purpose.
Circus with a purpose. That's awesome. Did you come up with that?
I don't know if I did.
Circus with a purpose. That's
I'd
awesome,
like to lay claim to it, but I'm not sure it was.
But it says a lot with 3 words, right? And, I get a lot of inspiration from our relationship and from seeing you. And yes, the high wire and all the other aspects of your act are absolutely inspiring, but that's not what inspires me. Is what some of the stuff we're going to talk about: your family, your faith, your commitment to both, your commitment to our community. How do you live a purpose based life and a faith-based life, and in today's world, it gets a little challenging. So that's where I get. I don't want to better yet, but that's where I get my inspiration from our relationship.
Yeah,
Nick,
well, thank you.
All that. I mean, it's cool as heck watching you walk across the Grand Canyon, especially because we were kind of at eye level with you on that walk.
That's right. Yeah.
But really, it's all the other stuff, the preparation. Yeah. It's how you live your life. I mean,
well, yeah, it is, and I think it's so important. And you mentioned grounding, but it's so important that we stay grounded.
Right. Right.
And I'm very grounded in my faith, and my family helps me and supports me in that. And that's such a key to everybody and everything that we do, that we stay grounded and true to who we are. I think as Americans, we live this life of, we put on a show. We're not entertainers, but we all put on a show every time we leave the house.
Yes,
and everybody thinks that everything's great and everything's fine, but the reality is we're all a mess. We all have struggles. We all have challenges that we face.
Absolutely,
it doesn't matter whether you're a TV personality, a TV star from Hollywood, or if you're homeless. We all have struggles.
Stuff, right?
That's right.
Yeah, I've taught my boys, they're in their early 20s now, early on in their lives, you don't know what someone else is going through. Always be kind. Always be kind. I'm the guy who walks through the hospital in the morning. Hey, good morning. Hey, good morning. And like this one lady just didn't even look, didn't say nothing. I was like, I got a little miffed. Like, what the heck, lady? I just said good morning to you. So wait a minute. Who are you? Meaning me. Who are you to judge her? You don't know what's going on in her life. What's happening in her home? Maybe her children are sick with cancer. So to stop doing that, and it really was a pivotal moment for me, because you don't know what other people are going through, and everybody goes through stuff.
That's right.
I'll sum it up as that, right?
That's right. There's so much power too in what you just said of just walking through. Hey, how you doing? Good to see you. Good morning. People don't realize how powerful your words can change someone's day, and they can also change someone's life in a good way or a bad way.
Correct.
Words
Absolutely.
are powerful.
They very much are, right?
Our tongue is a two-edged sword. And it's so important, I think, that we continue to live a life where we are always encouraging and inspiring.
Right.
And whether it be the person at the grocery store, I find myself, if I see someone at the grocery store that's at the register that's not happy, hey, is everything okay?
Yeah, right.
That can go because who knows if they feel helpless and hopeless and that no one loves them and no one cares for them. And just that simple gesture of saying, is everything okay, can literally change them from a mind of depression, a mind of suicide, and can switch them over and turn their life around. And there's so much power in what we do and every action that we take every step of the day. And again, we don't know whether they lost somebody or what they're dealing with in their life. We all go through challenges, and I've been that person on the other side before, where I needed somebody to say, is everything okay?
They knew that. I'm so glad you said this, Nick, because it is a very, very powerful way about living. And you can change someone's day. You're not going to save their life necessarily.
Sure.
Maybe you would.
Yeah.
But for them to know that someone noticed them.
What's amazing is how powerful that is, how rewarding it is to yourself as well.
You get what you give.
That's right. That's right.
Absolutely,
and that again, power of positivity, and continuing to share that is so rewarding to you as well.
It really is, and it is almost a selfish reason to do these things, right?
Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
And my wife Stephanie, that's how she is. She's always positive, and sometimes I'll say, look, I get it, but right now this stuff stinks.
Yeah.
And I won't be mad about it.
Here's one thing I'd say, but I've had to do this, but fake it till you make it.
Right.
And I know that sounds crazy, but there's been times where I've felt negative and I make myself say something positive. Right. I think there's so much power, and we'll talk about the power of the mind, I'm sure, in a minute when it relates to fear and stuff. But there's so much power in making. I can change my thought process by making myself do it. I can 100%. choose. I make the choice.
Right.
I say this often. If there's one thing The Wire taught me is that I'm in control of my thoughts, and that my thoughts are not in control of me. Right. And it is so true. I can think about all of the challenges I'm about to face, or I can think about my training and my preparation and 250 years of family history that has led up to this. It's up to me. When I get in an argument with my wife, I can think about all the bad times, or I can think about all the great times that we've had together. Right. It's up to me to make that decision. And when I think about those great times, immediately my mind changes. I forgive like that, and I move on.
That's, again, you're bringing up such great points. I have on my bulletin board in my office, mood follows action. Yeah. So do some action, doesn't mean jump around, I mean smile, say hi to somebody. Our mood will then follow our actions, if that makes any sense. It's kind of I think what you were getting at, and it's so powerful. And you do get what you give, a simple hi, good morning, how you doing, with a smile.
But you will have to fake through it at times.
Yeah, you do. Oh,
and
absolutely.
this stuff doesn't happen like that.
Right.
It is practice. It's training.
Really
I didn't
is.
get on the wire the first time I walked across to the other side. It was the second time. No. but again, I had to practice repetition over and over again. And if I would have based my career off of that first time I got off the wire, I wouldn't have a career.
Right.
That's right.
Exactly.
But it took training and preparation to get to that. And that's the same for our bodies and our minds and our souls.
Yeah,
it's about training and
absolutely.
preparation, and often we're faking it till we make it. And
Well, yeah,
even when I
absolutely.
didn't believe in the power of positivity, I just made a decision. I'm going to fake through it.
Yeah.
I'm going to make it happen.
And it does.
And then what you realize, it starts happening naturally.
Right.
Again, just like the breathing, it starts happening naturally.
Right.
And then you'll realize your stress levels drop down to here naturally.
Yeah,
now
that's
all of a
awesome.
sudden you're living a life that is much less stressful because you are just living that way, but you have had to practice and train to get to that point. Once you get to that point, now walking on a wire 2 feet off the ground in a controlled facility is the same as like breathing.
Right,
I mean, honestly,
right.
it's that normal to me.
Second nature.
That's right.
Yeah.
But it took a long time to get there.
right.
And that's just like with everything.
Yeah, excellent points. Excellent points. So when you're getting ready to go out on the wire, is there any fear at all going on? And if there is, what do you do?
I'm human. Of course there's fear.
Right.
Yeah. Look, I think that fear is important. If it wasn't for that fear, I wouldn't train.
Right.
So I train and prepare
Yeah, good point.
so that I don't have to focus on that fear. I can turn that fear into fuel, and then I can
nice.
burn that fuel off by fulfilling my calling. So absolutely there's fear.
Right.
And I wouldn't want it any other way. Because if you don't have fear, you don't have respect.
Okay,
People say, are you nervous before you speak to an audience? Of course I am.
Right.
Elton John throws up in a trash can backstage before every performance.
Yeah, right. After all these years.
It's that fine line of fear and respect.
Right. But that's a good point.
He respects
that.
the audience enough that he wants to deliver to a level.
Right.
It's not fear. He's done it a million times.
Right.
But you could call it fear. It's the same feeling of anxiousness. It's the heart rate rising. It's all of those things.
Yeah.
But it's out of respect for that audience.
Yeah, right. That's a very good point. The fear, if I may jump in with you, Emmett Fox, you're familiar with Emmett Fox? He's an author. He writes a lot of faith-based writings, and he has a book. It's called Sermon on the Mount, but it's not the biblical Sermon on the Mount. But basically, it's one of those year meditative type. Every day, every calendar day's got a couple pages. Sure. But anyway, I'm sorry. May 20th, I remember this very. He says basically, we only have two kinds of emotions: love and fear. All of our actions, all of our behaviors are motivated and driven by love or fear. And as I thought about it and digested it, I thought, yeah, I can absolutely see that.
Yeah.
I mean, it may not be completely obvious that this is fear, but when you break it down, kind of what it comes down to. And
but fear is a strong motivator as well.
Heck yeah. I don't want to fail that test. I got to stay up late studying or whatever it may be. Fear is a massively big motivator for me. It's just what you do with it.
Yeah.
And how
It's how you focus that fear.
Exactly, right?
And it's important. Again, I think we know fear is important. Fight or flight is important when
by a lion, right?
That's right, when that lion's coming at us.
Exactly.
So there's great purposes. I think you're born with the fear of falling. Is one of the fears that you're naturally born with. I believe it's falling and loud noises is what we're born with.
Okay.
But it's there for a reason, right? It's innate.
It's protective.
But it's supposed to be there, and it's there for a reason. Right. So it's adjusting to those other fears, the fears that are trying to tell us that we're not good enough to talk to an audience, or we're not capable enough to walk across the wire, to get to the other side of the Grand Canyon or Niagara Falls or wherever else. It's those fears that we have to learn to mitigate and control and refocus.
Excuse me.
I can focus that fear again. I can focus it on falling, not making it to the other side, or I can focus that fear on all my training and preparation that led up to that.
That kind of was going to lead into one of the questions I had. So fear, you kind of just answered this. Is it something that we can just completely eliminate for our life, or is it something we will learn how to manage?
No, it's all about managing.
Right? Yeah.
You know, it's about managing. We have to learn to manage our fear. Again, fear is there often for a reason. But I think often, again, fear talks us out of doing what we love, talks us out of fulfilling our dreams or chasing our goals. Yeah. So we have to learn to mitigate that. And again, there may be a reason why we're scared to run a marathon, but there's good reason, but that's why we'll train and prepare. But that fear has to be, at that point, we have to turn it into a drive. We have to turn it into a fuel.
To help us, to motivate us. Yeah, absolutely. So you're getting ready to do whatever, speak to an audience or go out on the wire or any of the other performances that you do. You got healthy respect. You got some fear going on. Are there some specific techniques that you rely on a regular basis?
You know, my faith is such a big part of who I am. So, you know, I pray with my family. The Word of God promises that He'll give us a peace that passes all understanding. Right. And I really lean on my faith, but in an educated way. I don't lean on my faith in the sense of, all right, well, you know, God.
Do this for me.
Yeah, I'm just going to get on the wire, and if I fall, God's going to catch me.
Right.
No, I do it in knowing that I've been given this gift and talent, but I have to train and prepare properly. It's not up to God to hold me on that wire. It's up to me to train and prepare. In the end, my faith plays a key role, because if I don't make it across, or if I get in a car accident, or if I die of a heart attack or old age, it's important to know where I'm going, and that's where my faith plays a key role in who I am. And there's a lot of confidence and strength in that as well. So, yeah.
That's awesome. And I love how when you're mic'd up and you're out on the wire and you're speaking to God. And
well, you know, I'm living my life out in the open. And I think, again, I don't know why I'm hitting on this, but maybe it's speaking to somebody that's listening. But I think we have to learn to be real and authentic. I think that we all want to live this fake life. And there's a lot of stress in trying to put on a show for everybody.
Yeah, it really is.
It is amazing how much stress is relieved by going, you know what? I'm having a problem with my wife right now. Our marriage is struggling. We're not getting along like we used to. There's so much power in letting that out rather than holding that in and going, everything's great. My marriage is perfect and there's no issues or whatever we're dealing with. You know, I'm struggling at work, or I'm struggling mentally, or, you know, those are all real things. You know, our mental health is huge, if not more important than our physical health. And we know that leads, as we're talking about now, leads to physical problems. So we just have to learn to be real with one another. And as men especially, I think we really struggle. I don't have any problems. I'm great.
I eat stress for breakfast.
Yeah, exactly. But the reality is we probably have more problems than women. So it's important that we just learn to be real and authentic. And the reason why I said that is that's me on the wire. When I'm on the wire, you know, talking to God, I'm casting my cares upon Him, because that's where I get my strength and that's where I get my peace. And I'm living that out in the open. And people are often shocked by that. Like, how are you so bold? Well, I'm just living. I'm just being who I am. I'm not being bold. I think you're being bold by not living out in the open. So you know, in the faith community, it's, you know, I think a lot of men struggle with sharing their faith. But why?
I know.
You know, in the end, that's who we are.
Right. And you're absolutely right. It's a cultural thing. I mean, men can't show weakness, can't cry.
That's right. You know, that's right. But there's so much power when we show weakness. There's so much power when we cry, when we release. Talk about getting rid of stress. I mean, that's the challenge. We're holding on to all this stress because we've got it all together. Let it go.
Yeah, let it go.
Be honest. Be honest with your peers, because what I've learned is my peers respect me more for being honest with them.
Right?
The men around me that I think that you think you're going to be weak, and I say you in general as a man, are going to make you weak, actually make you stronger. And build those relationships where other men go, wow, if you can be real and authentic, then I can be real and authentic too. And I can let these stresses go, and I can live more of a stress-free life because I'm not putting on a show. I'm not living a show. I'm not walking out of the house acting like I've got it all together. Because we all know, if we're honest with each other, no one has it all together. No. Everybody's failed. Everybody's fallen short.
And
so
it's okay to let this
so we're not fooling anyone by what we're doing. doing.
Yeah, especially
ourselves. Other than, maybe we're fooling ourselves.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Not that I ever thought this earlier in life, but now that I'm getting older, I'm saying to myself, this doesn't get any easier. No. Life, it gets harder, and more in many different aspects, it gets harder. And it's not like I ever thought, oh yeah, when you get older, it's going to be so easy. I never thought that, but I'm now realizing, boy, this does not get easier. Yeah. But how do we handle it?
I was going to say, we learn through experience how to handle those situations that aren't easier.
Right.
Hopefully.
Right. Hopefully.
Otherwise, what I've learned is you'll continue to go through that an experience until you learn from it. I think that we talked about before we started recording that everything happens for a reason. Mm-hmm. I think there's a reason in everything that happens. And we can learn from that reason. And if we don't learn from that reason, that thing that happened, maybe it comes in a different form, but it's going to happen again because we didn't learn our lesson. Right. Once we learn that lesson, then it doesn't happen because it might happen again, but it's not such a big deal anymore. Right. Now it's like it's happened. I've been through this, so it's not a big deal.
Right.
But if it's a big deal every time, we don't learn from this time, it's going to stay there every single time. And stress will always be at the top of your mind.
So everything happens for a reason. And how did you word that other one?
There's reason in everything that happens.
There's reason for everything. That's awesome.
Yeah, you can find reason in everything that happens. And that's where we look back on these experiences where we think, wow, that was the worst time of my life and I'm not going to make it through it. And we go, wait, that happened for a reason because of that, it made me do this. And because I'm doing this, I'm such a better person.
Right.
But during those times, that's when we're weak.
Right.
We got to lean on those times of the past where we've had these struggles to build us up and make us strong. And that's where the power is in being real. Right. Because then you can tell your friends, hey, you know what, Doc? I'm going through this. Right. I'm struggling with this. It's tough. And then they can go, well, you know what? I dealt with something very similar a couple years ago, and now I look back and I can encourage you because guess what? I made it to the other side, and look at where I am now. Yeah. And because I made it, you're going to make it too.
And that all started with being honest. Like you said, be honest. Let it out. It's okay. And if someone thinks of you as a sign of weakness, well, they're not really a friend.
Then they're being fake.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, the truth is they're being fake.
Yeah,
they're not your friend. They're fake.
Yeah, right.
They're putting on a show. And I don't want friends like that in my life.
No. Tell me.
I don't. Right? I think that so many of us want to be the in and the cool and the hip and all of that stuff. But the reality is, I look at all my friends in high school that were the coolest in the class, and I wanted to be cool. If I'm honest with you, 90% of them are losers.
Right. Absolutely.
I look at their lives now.
Right.
And not being in a disrespectful way, but most of them are struggling and they didn't amount because they were so worried about cool and hip that they weren't able to focus on what really mattered.
Exactly. It's a very good point. You're so consumed with that, with what everyone else is thinking about you, you're not taking care of business, cleaning your own house, Yeah, awesome.
And those insecurities are fear.
Right. Yep, absolutely, they're fear, right?
And they're fear-driven often,
right?
Rather than going, no, I'm not going to let fear control me. I'm in control of that fear. Therefore, I'm okay I'm okay if somebody wants to make fun of me for that or pick on me for that. That's fine. You're welcome to do that because I know now I know who you are.
Right.
Now I know who my friends are and who my friends are.
Yeah,
so in a sense, it's only a good thing that comes from that.
Right. No, that's a great point. I like that. Yeah, a few good nuggets for us today, Nik. That's awesome. So the power of the mind, positive thinking, mind over matter. So not necessarily a number, but there's a physical preparation and mental preparation for you. And you've touched a little bit about, what each of them entail for the purposes of today. What are some of your mental preparations? I know we've touched on a lot of them.
So a couple things I would tell you. So when I'm on the wire, it is 10% physical and 90% mental, which is mind over matter, obviously. I've already trained for the physical portion. So I've trained in 90-mile-an-hour winds before I'm going to face 48-mile-an-hour winds over the Grand Canyon. I've trained on a wire longer that's unstable. Now it's about keeping control of that fear and focusing it on the right things. Right. So a lot of what I do is again, sounds cliche, but I alter my thoughts. My thoughts want to go as a natural instinct to fight or flight. You're 1,500 feet up, there's 48-mile-an-hour winds, and you're walking across a wire that is 2 inches in diameter. Right. So
Why
I can
why so big?
focus. So I can focus on that, or I can focus on all my training and preparation.
Right.
And where your focus goes, that's where your mind follows. And it's so important that we focus, that we learn to refocus in those times, not ignore. The reality is, what I'm doing is very, very dangerous. I'm not being foolish and ignorant by going, oh, I'm not going to think about. No, I'm going to focus on the fact that I've trained to catch that wire. I've trained to hold on. I've trained to prepare, or I've prepared for this moment. And a lot of that goes into practical life. We have to. That's why we repetition. That's why we prepare by making ourselves think positive. That's why we prepare by surrounding ourselves with positive people and such. Even though in the beginning it's training, you got to make your mind change over and over again, so that when we get in that moment, we don't have to worry. It's not that fear. We can refocus that to fuel.
Right. That's awesome.
But as you said, a lot of us are fear driven. So you can use fear as a motivator as
Absolutely.
well. But again, it's about tweaking that fear in the right way. Not being naive, not being foolish.
Recognize it.
But recognize that it is real. However, I mean, look, people are scared to go on roller coasters, but they go for the thrill, right? So the reality is, I can go into a haunted house thinking I am going to be frightened. This is going to be the scariest thing I've ever done in my life. Or I can go into that haunted house and go, it's fake.
Right,
These people are paid actors. It's all set up.
Right.
Why am I going to be feared of any of this?
Yeah, right. There you go.
But again, it's about your mind going into that.
So my next question, you actually just kind of touched on it. Excuse me. I got a tickle in my throat. Phew. Okay. So, we all have that little voice in our head, that internal dialogue. And
Yes.
again, you just kind of touched on some of that. So what does that internal voice sound like? When you've got like your pressure is spiking, what's that voice saying to you?
So we all know the analogy, as you said. You got that angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other. We as humans are, for some reason, programmed to focus on the devil. We just are.
Right.
And there's that constant conversation, but you might fall. Yeah, but you've trained for it.
Right.
Yeah, but what about the winds? Yeah, but you've prepared for it. Yeah, but what about the cable movement? Yeah, but you've trained for it. So it's about not focusing on yeah, you could fall. It's acknowledging, yeah, you could fall, but answering it with yeah, you've trained for it. You've prepared for that. So again, when a negative thought comes into my mind, I'm in control. I can either go down that rabbit hole, or I can 180 and look the other direction.
Right.
I can stop my brain. I can stop my thoughts in their tracks and turn them around.
Perfect.
It is real.
Right.
I used to doubt it. I used to say it was crazy.
Right.
I forced myself to do it enough to where now it is
awesome.
natural.
And that kind of, again, at least my next thought I was going to ask you about is, we all visualize. And are you visualizing success, or are you visualizing the process that you need to go through to get to the success?
Yeah, I'm visualizing a little bit of both, right? So during training, I'm visualizing the success. Okay. I'm visualizing myself walking from one side of that volcano to the other. Yeah. While I'm in that moment, I'm visualizing on the process. Right. I'm training. I'm back in training again. Okay. All right. I'm back on that wire in my training grounds, and the wind machines are blowing, and I'm in a safe environment. I'm only 15 feet off the ground. Right. But my visualization during training is 1,800 feet over an active volcano.
Success, right. Gotcha. All right.
So it's of that success,
right?
and making it to that other side.
Gotcha. All right. Now, we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but a lot of people, myself included, think that balance is being perfectly still. But as I've learned from your writings, it's not at all. It's completely opposite, right? It's constant micro adjustments.
That's right. Yeah, right? It's constant movements.
Right.
Yeah, look, a balance in life. We have to continually make moves and tweaks and continually be adjusting. And that's just like on the wire. I mean, there's always a muscle moving, whether it be in my back or my arms or my legs. Right. There's always these constant adjustments to balance. And life is that way too. There's no way that any of us in this world can live just a perfectly balanced life. Right. But we're all making adjustments, and they're by the training and preparation that we've had in life, balance, work, eat, sleep, all of that stuff, when I was younger, I didn't sleep as much.
I'll sleep when I'm dead.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right.
But I'm making adjustments because I know that I have to make these adjustments to live that balanced life.
Makes sense, right?
Again, even with wisdom as you get older, the balance of family and work, it's so important that we live that life, that we adjust, I should say, that as we learn, hey, you know what? My family is way more important than work in the end. And I'm only going to have my family, my kids are going to grow up and get married, which they all have, and they all have kids,
right?
And move on. So it's important, and that's hard. It's hard to make those adjustments to keep balanced. It's not easy. It's not easy at all to make those sacrifices that we need to make to have a balanced life. But it's important that we continually are making tweaks and adjustments every single day. And as you said, life doesn't get easier.
No.
It gets easier to make those adjustments.
Exactly. You've got life experiences to draw on and to help you move on through the next challenge that life throws at you. Excuse me. So I'm just going to make up an example. Someone's going through something. They are just significantly overwhelmed. So much so, sometimes we don't know what's my next step. What should I do? Is there? I know it's kind of maybe overly simplifying this, but is there a first mental shift? What would you say to somebody who's just saying that I am so overwhelmed, I don't even know what to do? What would be one of the first things you say they should start off with doing? If you can boil it down to even one thing, or a couple even.
Be still.
Mm-hmm. Right? I like that.
We want to make adjustments so quick.
Right.
It's important that we make the adjustments. But when we shoot off of our hip, we can often make the wrong adjustment, which can make us fall. Right. So it's about being still. Being still, and again, I think it's so important that we surround ourselves with the right people. That we can lean on. That we can say, hey, you know what? I'm going through this, and I need help. What should I do in this situation? We all need mentors, and we all need to mentor others. It's so important, and again, so fulfilling to be able to mentor others. But I need somebody that, and it's my spouse first and foremost, my wife, and then it's a circle of friends that I can lean on and go, hey, man, I'm
having a hard time with this.
I'm struggling. Whatever it is, I talked to you a little bit. I dealt with depression a few years ago. Again, Nik Wallenda's got it all together. He's praying on the wire. Everything's perfect.
Everything's perfect in his life.
And I had a business situation that went south, and it created this mindset of being a failure. Yeah. And I forgot everything I'd been taught my entire life, and I focused on nothing but the devil. And I continued to focus on that to the point where I was suicidal. I had a gun in my hand, and I was ready to take my own life.
That's heavy, right?
And that's the reality is, again, we're all weak, but it's important that we have people strong around us when we're weak that we can call.
And I'll go back to the honesty again. You bring it up many times. Just be honest about this and reach out to people or whoever that might be.
There's no power in holding things in.
None, right?
It only creates weakness.
Right, exactly.
So it is so important, again, even if it has to be a therapist because you're a strong macho man and you can't talk to your friends about it, start there. Right. But the best therapy is being able to tell your friends, going to dinner or wherever and sitting there bawling your eyes out saying, I'm dealing with this and I need help and I can't go through this alone. And look, God created women and men for relationship. Right. And there's a reason for that. And relationship is so important. It's so important that we have incredible relationships around us. And because so many of us are fake and not real, all of our relationships are fake. Therefore, we're trying to live up to this fake standard so that we now can't go to that friend to tell them that we're weak because they think you're strong.
Yeah, right.
What I've learned is every one of those situations that I've gone through that have been horrible, that could have ruined my life, I can now tell other people. I've spoken to so many places, organizations on suicide. because I went through that situation. Now
Right.
I've been there.
You were in that dark
I'm not
place.
speaking from just, oh, well,
Yeah, I read a book
suicide.
about it. Yeah, right.
It's legit.
You lived
I've
it.
been there.
Yeah.
I've lived it. So now I can use that to help empower others that are dealing with that and say, you know what? You're going to be able to get through this. It sucks. It's bad.
It does suck, right?
But you are going to get through this. It's not easy. But continue to work. I was talking to a friend the other day who was at the last, at the very edge. He was done. He had $4 left in his account. He was about to be homeless, and he said a switch went off, and I realized I needed to change everything. And he's now a billionaire
Holy moly!
because he flipped a switch
Right?
in his mind.
Made a
It
decision.
shows how powerful our minds are, even when we are weak.
Right.
If we can think back and
Right.
switch and turn a switch,
Yeah.
we
That's
can
amazing.
accomplish anything.
We really can, and again, I'll keep coming back to the honesty. Just be honest with yourself of what you can and can't do. What are your expectations?
Well, and I think also we need to determine what is success.
Mm-hmm.
In society, success is having the nicest car.
Materialistic stuff, right?
But one day we're going to die. Mm-hmm. So is your legacy people knowing you had a Ferrari?
Yeah, right.
Who cares?
Yeah, right.
Who cares about your
Yeah,
red fancy car?
Exactly.
What's your legacy?
Yep.
Your legacy is what you instill in those around you.
Exactly.
What you've learned and been able to put onto others
Right.
and encourage others with. That's your legacy.
Right.
It's not the fancy car. It's
It's
not the
not.
house, the big fancy house. It's none of that stuff.
Nothing materialistic at all.
Correct. It's
right?
nice. I'm not saying
Yeah,
there's
of
anything
course,
wrong
of
with that.
course.
You want a nice car, great. Power to you. But that's not a legacy
No.
in any way. If you think that's your legacy, that's fake.
You're
You're
missing
being
out.
fake to
Yeah,
yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
The reality is be real.
Yeah.
Be real and build a core group of friends. Surround yourself with
With
great
good people you
with
can
great
count on.
people that you count
Right.
on, Leon, and be real with.
Be real. That's such awesome stuff. It's honesty. Circle, circle, circle right there. So, again, stress is unavoidable. We're going to have it. You cannot live a life with no stress.
It's impossible.
It's impossible.
Doesn't matter if you have all the money in the world.
Right.
You're still going to deal with health. Look
Exactly.
at Bill Gates. You're still going to
Exactly.
deal with
Exactly.
a health issue.
Right.
You're still going to deal with life.
So yeah, the stress is going to come. The suffering does not have to come, right? And I know we're trying to boil this all down in this little short episode, but
I think it's simple.
it
Fear is a
really
choice.
is.
Fear is a
really-
choice.
it really-
It's that
it
simple.
really
If you want to
is.
boil down,
Yeah.
fear is a choice.
Yep, absolutely. So, well, this has all been great stuff, Nick. I think we could talk for another couple hours easily, but I can't thank you enough for taking the time to come out. Congratulations on the successful run you just had with the circus, and I know we're all looking forward to many, many more years to come. I tell you, for selfish purposes, I'm glad you're there because you're here now all the time. It's you guys would be gone for months on end in Branson or wherever, and yeah, it's kind of nice you guys are here now. We can hang out more and do stuff. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So, but again, thank you very much. I'll give my best to all your family and your mom and dad and everyone. I want to thank you for joining us. Like I said, our next episode will be on sleep, part of our Fess Up platform. Do you have any parting words? We covered it pretty good, Nick. What do you think? Anything you want to convey to people we didn't get to cover?
I think it's my motto, never give up.
Never give up. It sure is, right?
So when you feel weak, don't give up.
Don't give up.
When you feel fear, don't give up.
Right.
When you feel stressed, don't give up.
Right.
When you're training to prepare your mind, when you're trying to refocus on the positive things, don't give up.
Yep.
Continue to pursue that, and
Awesome.
eventually it will become natural.
Yep. And yeah, absolutely. It's your little, not little, but your motto or catchphrase, whatever you want to call it. It's on all your writings, your literature, your promo stuff. But it's so true. Don't give up. I I kind of sometimes say to myself, there is no other option. You got to get through this, and by doing these different things, we can help to mitigate, as you were saying, the negative impact on our lives, but also on those around us, in particular our family, our spouse, and our children. So, again, I hope everyone got a lot out of this. I know I did. I always do. And again, Nick, thanks so much for coming in. And next episode is going to be on sleep. Again, rounding out our Fess Up platform. There'll be all kinds of information there. There'll be things on the website with some protocols and things that I'm doing for myself. It's breaking some bad habits. Screen time. For me, a big one is no food, drink, or screens within 2 hours of bed. But then we'll go into that in more detail next week. But I really appreciate you joining us. If you don't mind, please hit that subscribe button. It helps us build our numbers. We can bring this to more people. And thanks so much. We'll see you next time on Unprocessed Sugar. Hi, I'm Dr. David Sugar, a doctor here in Florida, and thank you for joining us on our podcast. A quick note, this is for educational and general information purposes only. Listening to this podcast does not constitute a doctor-patient relationship, and please consult with your own healthcare provider before making any changes to your own care. If you are having a medical emergency, please call 911 or your local emergency number. Any items, tests, medications that we talk about or discuss are for information purposes only and are not an endorsement. Once again, thank you for joining us, and please see the website for the full disclosure and waiver. Thank you very much.